there, and welcome to Board to Learn, the channel dedicated to helping you learn how to play your new games faster. My name is Kent, and today we're looking at Akropolis, a tile drafting, city building game for 2 to 4 architects. So meet me at the table, and we'll get started. In the heart of the Mediterranean, rival cities compete for wealth, prestige, and lasting glory. As master architects of ancient Greece, you'll grow your city by constructing housing, temples, markets, gardens, and barracks, each one playing a role in your rise above the competition. Careful planning is key, as buildings must be placed in harmony with specific layout rules to increase your city's prestige. Plazas can further enhance your city, but none of it is possible without stone. Quarries are essential, allowing you to build upward and expand your city toward the sky. To set up, start by giving each player a starting tile to place in front of them, along with a player aid. Now look at the backs of the city tiles and take all tiles with numbers that correspond to your player count. You can refer to the chart on page 2 of the rulebook for help. Give the city tiles a good mix, then create 11 face-down stacks. Again, refer to page 2 to see how many tiles should go into each stack. Place these stacks in the middle of the table, off to one side. Place the remaining tiles face up in a line in the middle of the table. This area will be known as the construction site. Choose the first player. The game suggests the person who most recently climbed a hill. Give that player the chief architect marker. Place the stones in a pile within reach of all players. I'm using a container I purchased separately. Starting with the first player, they take 1 stone. Moving clockwise around the table, the second player takes 2 stones, the third player takes 3, and the fourth player takes 4. Place your newly acquired stones in front of you. And with that, the setup is complete. Akropolis takes place over 12 rounds, starting with the chief architect, and moving clockwise, players take turns choosing a tile from the construction site and drafting it into their city. At the end of the game, the architect who planned their city the most thoughtfully and earned the most points will win. When looking at the construction site, there is a specific order in which you can take tiles. The highest or most expensive tile is the one closest to the stacks of tiles you created during the setup. The lowest or cheapest tile is the one furthest away from the stacks. On your turn, you will select a tile from the construction site. The lowest tile is always free. If you want to take a different tile in the line, you must pay 1 stone for every tile you skip. For example, if I want to take the 4th tile, I must pay 3 stones to take it. When spending stones, always place them back into the general supply. If you do not have any stones, you must take the first available tile. Let's go over what you'll find on the tiles and how you want to place them in order to score the most points. A city tile is divided into 3 construction spaces, and each space will be one of 3 construction types. Quarries, which are gray, are only used to produce stone when they are covered, and never score points. Districts and plazas will be one of 5 colors: blue, yellow, red, purple, or green. Districts can score if placed correctly. Plazas have 1 or more stars in the middle and are considered completely separate from districts. They simply turn on scoring. As long as you have a plaza of a certain color in your city, districts of that color are able to score. At the end of the game, you multiply the number of stars from your plazas by the number of districts of the same color. Now, let's take a closer look at each district color and how their placement rules work. The blue districts are houses. The citizens of your city like to live in large neighborhoods, so you will only score points for your single largest group of adjacent blue houses. Remember, plazas do not count as part of a district. The yellow districts are markets. Merchants are selfish and want all the business for themselves, so yellow districts will not score if they are adjacent to other yellow districts. The red districts are barracks. The soldiers will keep watch over your city, but only if they can see beyond its borders. Red districts must be placed with at least 1 open wall touching the outside edge of your city in order to score. The purple districts are temples. The priests like to reach as many followers as possible, so purple districts only score if they are completely surrounded. The green districts are gardens. There are no placement restrictions for gardens, and they can make your city beautiful wherever they are placed. Remember to refer to your player aid for a quick breakdown of each district. If you're curious about how often a plaza or district of a certain color might appear, take a look at the center column of the player aid. This can be especially helpful when you're planning which city tiles to take. And remember, plazas do not count as districts. Now that we have a better idea of what to look for, let's go over how to add a new city tile. As you plan out your city, be sure to keep the district placement rules in mind. When placing a new tile on the first level, it must border another tile already in your city, along at least one edge. Once you've placed a few tiles on the first level, you can start thinking about building upward. To place a tile on the second level, or higher, you must first have a solid foundation. The tile must cover 3 hexes, and those hexes must be spread across at least 2 different tiles. There cannot be any empty spaces beneath the tile. When you cover quarries, you gain 1 stone for each quarry covered. Any districts or plazas that are covered are no longer considered part of your city. However, any qualifying districts found on level 2 are now counted as 2 when tallying districts at the end of the game. The same applies when building to level 3 or higher. Plazas on higher levels do not receive the same bonus, as you still only count the number of stars shown. Let me give a few tips. Successfully building a level 3 or higher takes careful planning and a bit of luck. It is definitely doable, but the payoff usually isn't worth the effort. When placing tiles with quarries, try to group them together. This creates a strong platform for building upward, earns you valuable stone, and prevents you from covering up important districts or plazas. Once you have finished placing your tile, play moves to the next player. After all players have taken a tile, the chief architect will choose a second tile and place it in their city. It is now time to set up the next round. The remaining tile is moved into the first position of the construction site. Then take a stack of tiles from the supply, flip them face up, and form a new line to replenish the construction site. The chief architect marker passes to the next player in clockwise order. Play continues starting with the new chief architect and moving clockwise. Each round follows this same pattern, with the chief architect both starting and finishing the round by placing tiles. When there are no more stacks available to replenish the construction site, the game ends. There will always be 1 city tile left over. Now it's time to score. Take out the score pad. I like to score 1 color at a time. Starting with blue houses, count the number of blue stars in your city. Remember, the level of a plaza does not change its value. Write this number above the star icon on the score pad. Next, find your largest continuous blue district. Count each hex in that district. Remember that level 2 hexes count as 2, level 3 hexes count as 3, and so on. Write this number above the hex icon on the score pad. Multiply the number of stars by the number of hexes and record the total below. Next, move on to yellow markets. Count the number of yellow stars and record that number. Then count your yellow districts, noting the level of each. Remember, yellow districts cannot be touching other yellow districts. If they are, neither district will score. Record the number of qualifying districts, multiply by the stars, and write down the result. Now, score the red barracks. These districts must be on the outer edge of your city. As long as at least one side of a red district touches the edge, it qualifies. Count the red stars, then count the qualifying districts, noting the level of each, and multiply the 2 values together. Moving on to purple temples, these districts must be completely surrounded in order to score. Once again, count the stars, then count the qualifying districts, noting each one's level, and multiply them together. The final color to score is green gardens. There are no placement restrictions here. Simply count the green stars and multiply that number by the number of garden districts, again noting the level of each. Finally, if you have any remaining stone, score 1 point for each stone left. Record that total and add up all of your points. The player with the highest score proves they are the best architect and wins the game. In the event of a tie, the player with the most leftover stones wins. And that's how to play Akropolis. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to learn more great games. Turn the bell on to be notified of my latest videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond. And remember, it's not just how you play, it's how much fun you have. I'll see you next time on Board to Learn. Moving on to purple temples, these districts must... When there are no more stacks... When there are no more stacks available to replenish the... Remember to refer... There will be always... Oh my gosh. Now it's time to score. Take out. Now, let's take a closer look at each district color and how their placement rules work. was so close.